Okay, this will be your last opportunity with the, first of all, let's just give all of our speakers a round of applause for today. And I would like to just open the floor up now for questions for any of these particular individuals. And if your question is for someone specifically, please ask for them. If it's for anybody or everybody in that lineup, by all means, specify that as well.
I have a question regarding bulls. What do you guys, and even anybody else in here, how often or how long do you leave the bulls in with the cows on a normal basis? I've heard some people that leave them in longer, some shorter. And I know you want to keep the breeding season short, but hopefully your cows are bred within the 60-day period. And what do you do as far as, do you have regular pens that you feed these bulls, or do you turn the bulls out into their own pasture away somewhere?
Anybody have a chance at that one?
Oh, I guess we turn our bulls in about the 10th of August, and since we go to corn stalks around the 1st of November, that's when we take our bulls out. And me and a neighbor run our bulls together during the winter. They get very little supplementation also. And then in the spring, they just come home and they go in their separate pasture and they're just on grass again until we turn them back into August. I don't know if that answered your question or not. I would probably leave them in all winter long, but just we haul ours 40 miles away, so it's kind of an inconvenience, and they can be kind of bigger babies than our cows, so. And our heifers are with our cows all winter also.
I think about as long a breeding season as you want is 90 days. Remember that a calf born on the first day of your breeding season is going to be 50 to 100 pounds bigger than the calf that arrives late. So you want to get your, keep your cows that calve early and set your bull time in for your bull 9 months before you want your first calf. It'll be up to you according to your feed, how the pasture is going to be. Is when you want your calf to start dropping. Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, one of my main ones was, what do they do with the bulls? Do they, have them out in bale graze? Do they?
You don't want your bull to get fat. And you don't want them to get thin. If you've got a good grazing area, put him in that. If he looks like he's not doing good, drop him just a little supplement in there and hay. But you want your bull strong, healthy, and fertile. You sure don't want them shooting blanks, so you want to get him checked month or so before breeding season.
Other questions?
What do you look for as a baker? question is, what do I look for in a good banker? I look for someone that's really easy to fool. No, I'm just kidding. What you're looking for in a good banker is someone, hopefully, that understands agriculture. That's important. It's getting harder to find, but someone that will not stay in the bank all the time. If guys wanted a loan, I always insisted on, I wanted to go out and see their operation, see how they managed it, see how it looked. So I would look for somebody with agriculture background, someone is not tied to his desk, willing to go out and look, and somebody that can read numbers, because it's going nowadays. When I was doing it years and years ago, I could do the numbers in my head, and I didn't have to put all this stuff in a file. By the time I left, hell, somebody that paid me for 20 years and never missed a deal, I had to make them fill out form after form and income tax returns and just everything. It's just absolutely insane. It's why I got out of the business, because I knew when a guy would come into my office, whether I knew him or not, in 5 or 10 minutes of talking to him, I could tell whether there was a chance to make that loan or no chance. I could tell. And what you're looking for is somebody that'll go out and look and try to understand and comprehend what you're trying to accomplish, and is willing to be your partner, because that's the way I always felt like that I was a partner with the guys that I loaned the money to. And I would put, you know, if they didn't have enough, we're in steer country there, if they didn't have enough to make a load of steers, which is the best way and easiest way to sell them, then I'd hook them up with another customer of mine that had about the same kind of cattle, and they'd get together and sell them and load them like that. So you got to find somebody that really wants to be a banker and not a monkey that sits there and puts stuff into a computer.
More questions?
I'll try to speak up. I find it odd. I was down south, not in Mississippi, but over in Florida a couple of years ago, and I've been down south in Missouri and places like that. And as someone that's from North Dakota and trying not to feed any hay at all and pushing it to the gamut myself, I find it odd that they can't come up with different grazing systems down there where you left it to 65 degrees. Why is anyone in Mississippi or those areas, why are they feeding hay at all?
Because Daddy did it.
I guess that's my question. I find it odd. I went as many as 260 days, and I'm trying to push the gamut even further with grazing my cattle for, I would think in Florida, Mississippi, Missouri, you should be able to graze 365, shouldn't you? If you run your system right?
We quit feeding hay. The last hay we fed was in 1983. We had a ice storm that stayed on the ground. Outside of that, now we feed when we were conditioning our own calves. When we were doing our own conditioning of calves we bought, we fed hay, because the calf is just being weaned and moved to a new place. You got to baby him, do everything he wants. But as far as the calves grazing, we don't feed hay at all. If that,
There's some people down there that do, but I assume, and like when I was in Orlando there, I mean, it's December, it's 70 95 degrees and there's these cows huddled around these bale feeders. It's just like what you can see back here at home, and I just found it so odd.
I still got that bad hearing aid, but you said that you saw people down there feeding hay all winter.
Well, it was December when we were down there, and yeah, I'm just wondering, there's green grass.
Most of it's ignorance. Because I've got people next door to me that start feeding hay in December. That's their religion. And they start at a certain time, quit at a certain time in the year. For instance, I had one good friend. He's one of the best cowmen in the state. Handled business good, and his daddy was a good operator. But that was before fescue came in and things like that. And John, he keeps about 40 or so replacement heifers every year. The best heifers that he's got, he keeps them for replacements and feeds them about 5 pounds of grain a day, which is unnecessary. That's during the winter. But John one day asked me right across the fence. We had stairs grading on fescue, just doing fine. And John said, Doc said, I see your stairs look like you're doing all right. Said, my heifers are doing good now, but I'm feeding them bale of hay over so-and-so. What you think of, do I really need to? I said, hell no. I said, you don't need to. I said, you're just doing heifers, you're messing them up by making them too fat anyway. Well, he said, Daddy said I need to. I said, well, your daddy's, he's my age, but he hadn't grown up yet. And so he finally, one day, we had a northeaster coming in, and they were supposed to get bad. And John called me, he said, Doc, don't you reckon I better put some hay out today? I said, man, yeah. I said, really what you need to do, I said, put some right across the fence in that creek area fenced off. For what? I said, for the deer. I said, man, if those deer, they're just starved to death out there. Oh, you know a deer don't need anything. I said, well, the deer right with the heifers. And John quit that day.
Keith? Question?
Dan, do you foresee any questions for Dan? Do you foresee any mainly government entities or any entities that control a lot of land really being receptive and pushing for a lot more cattle on their land? Anything in particular, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Forest Service, anything you deal with, where you could give a presentation like this and have them say, wow, we would really like to have more cattle on our land?
I'm searching through my brain for, all I can think of is issues right now where they're trying to have, well, Obama tried to pass something recently, he's still working on it, I guess, that would remove cattle from a lot more public lands. That would claim, designate them as this or that kind of, I mean, there is grazing on some national monuments and stuff like that. But generally the tendency is not to do so, or to have so much regulation in there. You probably wouldn't want to do it anyway, or it'd be too much trouble if you were a manager to come up with a sensible plan. one of the things that I talked about in my presentation was the fact that protection or removing livestock entirely causes the land to, at least in some cases that I've taken photos of, and in all cases as far as I can tell, to deteriorate. But the one thing I think about a lot, I haven't mentioned that much, is just land government manipulating or regulating land management can do the same. I mean, I'm surrounded by a fairly large ranch, a Windmill Mountain Ranch, that is, I mean, it technically is all grazed, but it's not. I mean, I go out, it's been 3 years since I've seen a cow on the part of the ranch I live on. And the last one I saw was in my driveway. But yeah, I think we do have people in agencies who become more receptive, and they work through groups like the Malpai Group and the Quivira Coalition, which sort of politically cleanse a lot of grazing proposals by adding political aspects to them too. You know, like the Quivira Coalition does the Carbon Ranch, and they've got agency people listening more to that. That may be the formula. I don't know, but it just seems to add a needless complication. Then again, I have people who give me photos to go rephoto because they know what I'm going to do with them, who work for government. So there are people in government who we would call more aware of what we think is the most beneficial way to deal with this stuff. Did that answer your question? Yeah. It had nothing to do with grazing, but well, I was out doing a talk up in Nevada, and I flew into Reno, and I hadn't been to Reno for a long time. I'm going through Reno on the way back to the airport, and noticing that a huge amount of businesses are closed. Although I've been hearing that Reno has got something cooking that's going to make for growth there and a revitalization, but I couldn't believe all the places that were closed. I walked into a shopping center and every third shop was closed. I was walking out, I went past a young lady sitting in a little gift shop that was selling knickknacks, and I said, "Boy, you folks are hurting." And she said, "Pray for 2016." So I mean, maybe that's when we'll after the next election we can get some people thinking in the right direction.
Other questions? Last chance. Okay, well, thank you all for everything today, and we'll not only to our speakers, but I want to thank Marty, our videographer in the back, that's going to help make this thing available to all of us again if we so choose to sue for handling registration and advertising. A thank you as well deserved there. And on behalf of the board and the Grazing Coalition as a whole, we hope that you, as being a part of this conference and now being considered our first official class of members, that will be something beneficial for you moving forward, and we can continue the dialogue, the educational events, and any other suggestions that you guys have. So with that, have safe travels home, and we hope to see you at maybe a tour or pasture walk this summer or our winter conference next year. Thank you.